Hey everybody, it's Brian Eisenhower, and I am very excited. I've got Eisenhower coach Nick Baldwin with me today. And Nick, as everyone I think in the world knows, is the leading voice with regards to social media and digital marketing coaching. And I'm honored to have him on the staff and honored to talk to you about a very important aspect of social media marketing today. And it's something I see so many agents still not acknowledging changes that Meta has made with their algorithms. And it's hurting their exposure, it's hurting their visibility, it's hurting their engagement. Also, it's very easy to see that they're not the experts in these areas right now. And a lot of clients know these things and they don't. And so we got to clean this up a bit. So, Nick, why don't you talk to them about the concept of dwell time and why it's so important, why it's essential that we adhere to it? I'm going to give the floor to you here, Nick.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Wow, the whole world knows. Oh my gosh, there's a little
Okay,
pressure.
I have a tendency to exaggerate, but
I hope the whole world doesn't know because they're coming for me. So anyway, yeah, I was gonna say. So what I was gonna say was, you brought up dwell time. So there's different ways that Facebook and Instagram, specifically, TikTok's a whole different animal, but there's a specific way that Facebook and Instagram figure out what they should put in front of you. And a lot of that is dwell time. So they consider eyeballs engagement as well. Obviously, we all have eyeballs. That should go without saying. We're all scrolling through our phones, looking at things. But the algorithm works funny. So the algorithm works obviously when you click on something, when you like something, when you give it some sort of reaction, when you share it, when you comment. Those are all obvious ways that you probably would assume that the algorithm can figure out type of content you want to look at. But the majority of people on Instagram and Facebook
so let
don't.
me just stop right there. So the amount of people that engage, I just want to make this real clear. The amount of people that engage with your posts, like, heart, comment, all those type of things matters. I know that we look at that as status sometimes, but we
Yeah.
want to get that type of engagement so that Facebook then, or Instagram for that matter, then shows your post to more people to get you more visibility and exposure or your
Correct.
listings more exposure or you more exposure. So that's what we're talking about here is we do want that type of engagement so that people you want to see it.
Right. And there's something that is greatly underrated, and that's just the eyeballs. A majority of people who are on social media who don't consider themselves creators, right? So a creator is someone who posts regularly, multiple times a day. They're great at storytelling. They have interesting things to say. They have a specific niche or theme that they stick to on their page. But most people on these platforms don't post anything. And the algorithm has to figure out what they like if they're not liking, if they're not commenting, if they're
Because they
not.
don't want to interact with your post. They don't want to be in the public arena. They
Right.
just they're watchers.
They think that if they're not doing something, like acting on something, then they're going to be sneaky and get around things. But they're not, because that's the most important thing. When someone slows down and stops to look at your content, that is called dwell time. So,
They dwell on your post for a while.
yeah, they dwell
They
on it.
dwell. And so even though they're not commenting or engaging, they're stopping and looking at it for a while.
And that is just a matter of slowing down for a couple seconds. So, like when a video gets a view on Facebook, that's really only 3 seconds. If you were to ask me, dwelling is about 3 seconds. So, if you've seen someone's post in your algorithm, or if you've seen something in your algorithm that maybe you don't know how it got there, chances are the other day or earlier that day, you slowed down on a piece of content that was similar to what you're being shown. So you might say, I don't understand how this negativity got into my, because people are very protective of their algorithm. They're very protective of their feed. And they don't take into account the dwell time. They only take into account, I didn't click anything, I didn't like anything, I didn't comment on anything, but the dwelling, because most people dwell and they don't contribute to creating content, that's probably the most important way that Facebook and Instagram understand what you're looking for if you're not like flat out telling them with your
So
finger.
so I think our point is we want to talk about different ways we can increase your viewers' dwell time. Like
Correct.
that's we want to find ways that we can alter our content in a way that increases dwell time because some of the recent changes with Meta's algorithms is, hey, we're going to take dwell time into a much bigger account as it relates to engagement. So suddenly we have to like change what we're putting out there to make sure. And so what are some of the more obvious, because I know what I see, but
Yeah, for
you
sure.
can describe it better than I can.
So a lot of videos you'll see if your Facebook and Instagram, especially Instagram, wants your videos to be about 30 to 45 seconds. But they don't have to always be. As long as they have some sort of beginning, middle, end if you're creating actual video content. But what, Brian, I think you're talking about and what we were discussing earlier was a great way to keep people looking at your content is to have overlays of captions, like on-screen text over a video that maybe isn't necessarily telling the exact same story that you want to tell, but maybe it's you like opening a door to a home and you have some like cool quote that's an overlay over that video. You'll notice videos like that get tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views because they're all very short. They're only like 5 to 8 seconds long. And the shorter the video is, the more you fit into that 3 second view time. And that's the average amount of time someone will spend on a video, unless you have something that's very important that most agents don't know how to create. That's a hook, right? So, like, a hook might be here's the top 5 things you need to know before you buy a home, and make sure you stick around for number 5 because it's the most important one you'll hear and it'll change your whole entire life.
Yeah,
You
this
know
is
what I
why
mean?
you see so many of those annoying reels that say wait till the end, and then it's
Right.
totally a letdown at the end. They're trying to
Yeah.
increase the dwell time.
Yeah. Another one is wait till you hear the last one because it's a game changer. Or you'll never imagine what happened at the end of this story, so make sure you find out. Or watch till the end, wait for it, save this video if, send it to a friend if you like. You know what I'm saying? So using those hooks, which need to be within the first 3 seconds, because
Yeah,
that's what a view is considered. And the hook could be written, it could be spoken, it doesn't matter. Now, you definitely want to have the hook in the video, not necessarily in the caption, because very few people actually read the caption on Instagram because it is a visual medium, as opposed to Facebook, where it's more text driven still, even though they've been trying to move towards video, not as effectively as something like Instagram. So, adding storytelling via text overlays or captions. Captions are super important, and I've seen Shauna use captions a lot with her videos
so
because
important.
most people, I think it's something like, I wrote it down here, something like 95%. Don't quote me on that. I think something like something crazy like between 75 and 95% of people watch videos with the sound off. So it's so important to have captions because when there's captions and they're reading, they're more likely to continue reading it as
That's right.
opposed to listening to your boring voice.
Because they
You
can't
know
even
what I
hear
mean?
the voice because the sound's turned off. I'm
Yeah,
one of
you
those
might
guys.
say something like, you might say something really exciting, but just not say it in an exciting way. Here's the top 5 things to know before buying a home. Make sure you stick around because the last one's really amazing. That might be your delivery, but if it's in captions, it sounds really exciting.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
it's key. I want to switch gears on one thing too, because there's a lot of people, unfortunately, that are afraid to do video. So I want to switch the people that use Facebook kind of old style, that don't use video, that just post photos and post images, right? Which is good. Don't get me wrong. You're putting up images, but how do we increase dwell time when you're posting images as opposed to
Okay.
video? This is where
So,
I can really see
all
there's a
right.
problem.
If you're posting it on Instagram, post an image as a reel. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
when you're given the option to either use it as a post or use it as a reel, always choose reel because that's what Instagram loves more so. than individual posts.
That's
If
big.
you're gonna use still photos, make sure you do a carousel then. So if you're doing one image, post it as a reel with some music, so some trending music, maybe some captions over it, because you can do that with reels. You can't do that with still photos. If you're using only still images, make sure you have a carousel.
A
Make sure you have,
carousel's multiple photos that they can flip through
yeah.
that will increase the dwell time because they're going to stick around and check out all your photos.
But also, Instagram helps you with the dwell time. So let's say you're scrolling through and that someone posted several photos. Maybe you only swipe through one of them or you don't swipe through any of them. Instagram will give you a second chance and they'll show that image to that same person again. But this time they would have moved one of the photos over for them. So they're seeing the second photo in that carousel the next time they see the image. They're like, you already saw the first one, but we're going to help you out. We're going to move that first image over so the next time they see your post, they're not seeing the same one they saw because that's going to be boring. They're going to see the next image in that carousel and they'll do that for you. So carousels get a second life.
Let me switch gear again. That's great. Let me switch gears again. Okay, let's go back over to Facebook, still images. Here's one that I can say that I've seen is people just putting photos up there and they're not writing enough content up above. Having increased written content with your photos to the point where they have to actually read the whole, because they will click more, that
They
little
will,
more
yeah.
button to expand the content. So the goal is to write enough content above your images. Stop just posting a bunch of stills. Yes, you can do a carousel there too, where they want to flip through all your photos, which is great. But if you can actually make them click on more and then read down to the end, even if we put spaces in between paragraphs to extend the more, so it's one sentence for each paragraph, you're
Yeah,
seeing a
people will
lot of
read it.
people doing that. And you can tell they know what they're doing. You can tell those agents understand that they're trying to increase dwell time when they start putting a big written bit of text. And I know that's hard for a lot of people because now we got to write too. But especially if there's a hook at the start that makes them want to read more. Like, for example, you'll see people say, this is not a political post. Oh, you betcha I'm going to click more because I want to see that what's going to happen from this, right? Or this is personal for me. All of those things get people to read more. And then they've got a long written script that's going to keep them hovering over it. And that's good for Instagram too. Instagram, you can do the same with still posts to increase that carousel watch.
What you can do on Instagram is you could have an image of yourself, or you could have a quick video of yourself saying, hey, I've got the top 5 things that you need to know before you buy a home. Check out the caption below and make sure you read all the way through to the last one. Or you could just have an image of yourself just pointing down and at the top, read the caption below for something really cool to
Yeah.
find out, or whatever it is.
Or put something in the comments so they open up the comments.
Yeah.
See, when I said personal and political, not that I really am promoting you do those two things, but that makes people start to read the comments too, because you know there's going to be a circus down there, right?
Oh my God, for
And you're going to comment back and things like that. All of a sudden, because you can get them caught up reading your comments very easy, you can get them caught up flipping through photos, a lot of them very easy. So it just changes because again, this is one of the chief determinants of your exposure on social media is dwell time now. So we want them sticking around your post for a while.
so if I'm gonna give you 3 tips, basically I'm gonna bring it all together. Use hooks in the first 1 to 3 seconds, either written or spoken. Add storytelling via text overlays or captions. Make sure you're always using captions. And then use calls to actions like wait for it at the end or watch till the end or save this video or share this video. That can also be used in the beginning and at the end of your videos too.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. What are the best tools for them to use by way of apps and whatnot to choose some of these things, Nick?
Yeah, so Instagram has some cool editing features. They just created a new app that just was released called Edits. That's a brand new Instagram editing app. There's another app that I've talked
What's
about
what's
for
the one
Instagram,
Shauna's using all the time? It's
Captions.ai.
Captions.ai is real solid.
It's awesome. That's my favorite. So there's also CapCut, which is a good one. But Captions is great because Captions has a lot of different templates and it makes your videos look really good. makes it look like you spent thousands of dollars, and it obviously adds captions. It has a teleprompter, has all the bells and whistles. Someone in the chat asked about Veed. I've never heard of it, but I'm always open to finding out what things are. I'm going to write that down. Never heard of it, but it sounds interesting. It's got a cool techie name. Yeah, so those are the apps that I recommend. When you can, it's good to edit the shorter ones within the apps because Instagram and TikTok do like when you do as much as possible with creating your video inside the app. But sometimes if it's longer, it's better to use something like captions.
Now, I believe Instagram does too, but I know Facebook gives you the option of just doing captions for you too.
Yeah,
Like
but they don't look
you
as
can,
good.
that's true. They don't, but it's better than nothing.
It's
Like
true. Yeah, better than
up
nothing.
up until I mentioned apps, nothing we said requires apps. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just going to make it a little bit more professional looking for you.
The thing with captions.ai or like something like Descript, Descript is a good one. That's got a little bit more of a learning curve, though. It does not have an app because it's a pretty robust editor, but it is still a good one for captions. They just give you a lot of different versions and styles of captions as opposed to Instagram and Facebook where it's just black and white and it's pretty boring. But it's good to have nice big captions that stick out and move around and have animation to them because that's what catches people's eyes. Also, another tip I could tell you is using engaging videos that change every 3 seconds because that helps reset your viewer's attention span.
Yeah, that's right. Is jumping around a lot. That's true. We're all Facebook ADHD babies out there. Not being born and using short clips within your videos is very good for increasing dwell time. Nick, thank you so much for this. I really appreciate all you
Yeah,
do.
thanks for asking me to do this. It was
You
fun.
you bet. I love it. I love it. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.